Group, for the first time in 150 years, will launch an IPO for one of its 13 private businesses, Sterling and Wilson Solar. CNBC TV 18's Yash Jain caught up with the chairman promoter of the company, Mr. Khurshed Yazdi Daruvala, and began by asking him on what he wants to do with the proceeds of this IPO as well as the financials of the company. Let's hear him out.
We are in the process of actually building up our anchor book, and we see that happening shortly. As soon as we are ready with that, we will be launching the IPO. The total fundraise is about 4,500 crores is what we are targeting between Shapoorji Pallonji and myself. It's a pure secondary sale.
Correct.
Yeah.
As far as the shareholding in Sterling and Wilson Solar is concerned, where does that shareholding stand at this point of time between the two promoter groups? Post the IPO, what kind of change do you see in that shareholding itself?
So it's 2/3, 1/3. I've been fortunate to be partners with Shapoorji Pallonji from my grandfather's time.
Correct.
And and the dilution also will be in proportion of the shareholding.
Okay. As far as the proceeds from the IPO are concerned, you said to the tune of about 4,500 crore rupees.
Correct.
How do you plan to use those proceeds? What are the areas in which you would be deploying those proceeds?
See, one of the purposes for the IPO, what's happened is that Sterling Wilson Solar has always been a division of Sterling Wilson.
Correct.
And it's one of the unique EPC businesses and we've been in EPC, like I said, for 3 generations. One of the unique EPC businesses which has thrown out cash from day one for us. So there's very low capital employed. So being a division of Sterling Wilson, it was actually the cash flow from this division was supporting all the other businesses. Once we do the IPO, what happens is that because of the demerger, there is a loan that stands from Sterling Wilson Solar to all the other non-solar businesses, EPC businesses of ours.
Correct.
So what happens is that Shapur and me, SP and me would be pumping in the money into the non-solar business, which would just flush this loan out.
Okay. What is the debt as far as the solar business is concerned? As you said, Sterling Wilson Solar, and through this IPO 4,500 crore, how much would that reduce that particular debt to, and what would be your final debt to equity ratio as far as the solar vertical is concerned?
So what's happening is that all the debt that the solar is taken right now is actually lent out to the non-solar.
Okay.
So like I mentioned, that the solar business itself doesn't require capital as such. It may be a small amount of working capital at some point of time, but in general it is not required. So once we actually pay back the money to the solar business and the solar business pays it out to the bank, we should be as good as debt free.
As far as the balance sheet of Sterling Wilson Solar is concerned, there are a few related party transactions as far as that balance sheet is concerned, where funds have been lent to other non-solar verticals. With the proceeds coming in from the IPO, do you expect to address all those loans which have been addressed or extended to other non-solar verticals going forward?
Yeah, so this is an important question to address. See, what happened is that first of all, the loans given by the solar entity are not to the Shapoorji Pallonji Group.
Correct.
They are only to the non-solar business, which actually came as a consequence of the demerger. Now, what we will be doing is that post the IPO, we will be paying off this money completely so that there's no related party transaction left between the non-solar to the solar. What we've done is, in fact, we've amended our articles of association in the solar entity, and we've made a commitment in those articles that we're not lending within the promoter group.
Okay.
Which would be Shapoorji Pallonji and Daruvala family.
Okay.
So I think with this, the money gets paid back.
Okay.
In my view, the debt fully gets paid back. And the solar company is then ring-fenced because it's never going to lend back again into the group.
So what you're saying is, once this debt which has been extended from the solar vertical, once that is paid back, you won't be extending further credit to other non-solar verticals.
Correct.
Okay, that'll be an interesting IPO to watch in the coming few days. We'll get into a break. On the other side, we'll come back and talk about the commodity space. Sumeet Bagade of Choice Broking will join in on the other side.